Copy that. Thank you.
Okay, let's call this work session to order. Join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a very short agenda today, but an important one. We'll start with, we had our first housing open house Saturday, and we had a very nice turnout for a Saturday in the summer. And it rained pretty hard once it started, but we had a beautiful tent from the library and it worked out well. And Liz Hanley's here to talk us through some things, but I think probably, Liz, the biggest thing we've been hearing, certainly Saturday, but even before Saturday, was people want to know what's going on. I mean, my emphasis has been, let's just get the legislation passed. But we're seeing that people want to know, what's the plan? Who's eligible? How is it going to work? So I think that was good. And you got a lot of input and a lot of questions. And going forward will be a lot more, I don't want to say forthright because we have been, but just we'll be explaining a lot more of the process itself, you know, what we envision, what we hope to do. But again, the referendum is strictly for the 2%, the 0.5% over the 2%. It, you know, yay or nay, we're still going to go forward with housing plans. So I think that's important that we make sure the public understands what it is we're looking to do, how we're looking to do it, and who's going to be eligible, and what it's going to really cost everybody.
Right.
Why don't you come sit up here?
Sorry. I wanted to just kind of speak to that. I thought it went really well. We got really good feedback. I've already started, probably saw in your email, I've already started compiling the FAQs from the questions. We're going to make those available publicly, the ones that we got a couple different times. I spoke to Bran on the committee, and we're thinking about maybe doing some social posts just to kind of get that out there. You know, we'll kind of see what questions come up on the more regular. And my thought was maybe we would tweak the little brochure that we did to address some of the questions. And that was kind of my thought, but it was really helpful. I think sometimes, at least on the committee, we're so like inside baseball, you know, like that we're just like, I'm kind of thinking that everyone knows those eligibility things is like, oh, okay. So it was really helpful to know what needed to be spelled out so that we could do it. So I thought it was really successful.
Great. And what we're going to talk about today is one of the possibilities for use of the fund money.
Actually, it's not. So this is actually completely separate. So the gentleman that's joining us is from a company called Landed. So this is an outside fintech. This would require no town money whatsoever. This is a separate and private program that could be done in concert and alongside of anything that we're doing with the town. One of the reasons that I brought this to the town is it's something that we could start now. You know, it just really involves the town as an employer and no use of any town or municipal funds, which I thought might be helpful. They have a very well-developed program and they worked in a lot of other cities, municipalities, and I'm really looking forward to hearing his presentation. So again, no cost at all to the town, which I thought would be helpful.
Better.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like that. Thus me bringing it to you. Okay.
Solani, if you want to unmute yourself and just explain, you know, who you are, where you're from, and what you can offer us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, members of the town board, really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm here on behalf of my colleague, Andrew Sr., who fortunately, but unfortunately, he's moved on from the company. He's taken on a position. We're very excited for his endeavors. Wherever he goes was a great colleague that I worked with. And I'm here also on behalf of Landed, in which we help essential professionals build financial security in the communities they serve. And we primarily do that through home ownership. And so just a little background on myself. I'm located in the Bay Area. where the housing is sort of similar maybe to the Shelter Island housing market right now. And I come from the essential professional field. I worked in local government for 8 years before I came here to Landed. Very passionate about serving essential professionals, and a big part of the reason why I'm with Landed is because I've had a few of my own colleagues that I was very close and near and dear to that had to move because they could not access the housing market. And so just to provide a short, am I bind to time here? Just want to be mindful that I'm not going
It's all
over
you.
time. Okay, sound good. Would a like a slide presentation work for you all, or would you?
We'll share the screen and you can put
Okay,
it up.
absolutely. Let me go ahead and do that. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'll speak to Landed's down payment program. We work with over 300 different employers, and we support their employees in the home buying process. We help essential professionals. We believe that in part of building personal wealth, home buying, building equity, being able to pass that down to future generations is something that we've seen is very passionate. What we're passionate about, and we primarily started working with K through 12 school districts. We worked first here in the Bay Area to help school educators buy homes. We've expanded into local government, state government, county government. We also work with hospitals. So we work with hospital, medical centers, health system, Envision, one of the big names that we work with as well out in the New York area is one of our partners that we work and support their employees. So Landed's down payment program is designed to help home buyers reach that 20% down payment mark. And there's many benefits that come from having a 20% down payment, such as avoiding private mortgage insurance. You're looking at getting a more competitive interest rate. And in most cases, the mortgage payments are more reasonable and much lower than it would be if you were to come with less than 20% down. So Landed is able to help essential professionals by providing up to $150,000 or 15% of the home's value towards a down payment on a home. So the home buyer would have to come with at least 5% down. In an average case of those who transact with us, they come with at somewhat between that 5 and 10% mark, but they only have to come with 5% down. And anyone that works for the town of Shelter Island, at least 20 hours a week is eligible to utilize this program. This is not income restricted. They would have to qualify for a primary mortgage, but anyone, like I said, who works at least 20 hours a week for the town is able to access these funds.
Tony, I don't want
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt, but I just let you know that Dr. Dolger, the superintendent of our local school, is here as well. So I just wanted you to know he's in the audience and you're presenting to him as well.
Awesome. That's even better. The more the merry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Important to note about the funds, it's not a loan. So a home buyer would not be accruing debt. They won't be paying additional monthly payments. Instead, this is a shared investment where Landed will be a co-investor in the home buying process. And once we form this contract or partnership with a home buyer, they get to choose when and how they exit this partnership or contract with Landed. Once they decide to use the down payment assistance, and we go through that process, they get into a home. The home buyer is in the driver's seat. That's the great part about this, is the home buyer gets to choose how and when they want to exit this partnership. Anytime between year 2 and year 30 of being in the home, that home buyer can choose how and when they want to exit that partnership. Now, we've helped we're just about 1,100. We've helped 1,100 essential professionals buy a home. And we're seeing just about our first 300 home buyers exit their partnership with Landed. And I would say about 90% of them are doing so through a refinance of the home. And so that's the great part about this program and how it works. I'll go through an example, but I'll stop here first to see if there's any initial questions from anything that I've shared so far.
No, I think keep going and we'll hit you at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is probably not going to be very relevant. I didn't really get the opportunity to tweak kind of my presentation. But let's say in a case that a dream home for a home buyer is 500,000. In a typical case, an employee will come with 10% down, and Landed will bring an additional 10% to bring the 20% down payment towards a home. Here is where this shared investment comes in. Let's say the original value of the home is 500. By the time that they want to exit their partnership with Landed, the home has gained $100,000 in value. So it's 600,000 now. Landed will share in 33% of the gain of the home. So that change of value, that $100,000, Landed will share in 33% in that gain. The homeowner will keep the rest, and they'll also pay back Landed's down payment investment of $50,000. That's in this case. So what happens on the flip side? What if the home loses value? Let's say it loses $100,000 in value. Landed will also share in the loss. So meaning that Landed will subtract that 33%, in this case, $33,000. We'll subtract that from our original investment of $50,000. They'll pay back Landed $17,000, move Landed out of the partnership. And like I said, in most cases, like a refi, moving forward, if they, in hopes that they build equity in the home, the rest of the home value will belong to the homeowner.
Lonnie,
So,
I just wanted to,
go ahead.
I just wanted to just say something here. This was actually one of the features of your shared equity program that I thought was really incredible. For most fintechs that are doing shared equity, they don't take a share of the loss. So basically the home buyer has to repay all of the amount that they put in. And so I just wanted to say that I was really impressed. And this was one of the things that pushed me to bring it to this board, that they were basically sharing in both the upside and the downside. And I just want to kind of point out in the fintech world, this is pretty unusual to see this kind of debt treatment. So well done to you, Landed. The steel structure would be great.
Thank you. Yeah, and I was going to share a little bit about that, and it's buy through and through a true shared equity model in which we'll share in the gain or the loss. This is really a stair-step approach. In many situations where a home buyer may not have, let's say, the bank of mom and dad, or have any generational wealth that's passed down to them to get into a home, this is a great way to get them into a home. We do what we call property reviews to help them assess a property. We'll look at inspections. We'll look at any potential forecasted expenses that will come to a home. Because in every scenario, we definitely want the home buyer and also Landed to win. We want it to be a win-win situation, and we've helped with just about 1,100 home buyers. We've helped them build just around $67 million in equity, and we've been very fortunate to see that, and really it's the spirit of the program is to help essential professionals become homeowners. And so, I'll jump ahead to kind of talk about some of the home buying support that we also provide. We help all of our home buyers navigate any type of mortgage option that they have, the down payment program. Our program is a Fannie Mae Community Seconds program. So any Fannie Mae option products that are out there, we can pair with the down payment program. We also will look at local grants in the area to see if we can pair with them as well, to make, obviously as far as the offer on a home a little bit more better. We also have a home buying team. So if you have a interested employee who just wants to get straight into the process of buying a home, we have home buying coaches. We have partner agents that are in the area. Their full-time job is being real estate agents. We vet them heavily. They have great closing rates. We also work with local lending institutions that are familiar with the down payment program that will definitely recommend. And as I mentioned, some property and document reviews. Our home buying team is there really to support the home buyer through the process. And then we'll create a exit plan. This exit plan will help them forecast good times. When is it a good time to exit this partnership with Landed and become 100% owners of the equity moving forward, and in most cases of a refi. So they'll have, again, between years 2 and 30 to make that decision. Again, our exit team will recommend times for them to exit this partnership. But at the end of the day, the homeowner is in the driver's seat. They make the decision when they want to exit their partnership with Landed. And so I'll finish with talking a little bit about how does the anatomy of our partnership with our employers work. Landed does not expect any employer partner to take any financial or legal obligation for the program. We don't require any contracts or MOUs, and there is no fees to participate and be an employer partner with Landed. The only ask that we have is that an institution or an agency just send one email, a standalone email. We want to broadcast this and deploy it to all employees. We want them all to know about the availability of this program. And we'll include information sessions, links that they can sign up for information sessions, where they will go through, similar to what I'm doing here, probably a little bit more in depth about Landed's down payment program. We've also had employers who have included us in their HR benefits website, onboarding or recruiting materials. Many have done press releases of partnerships that we form with them, financial wellness campaigns. Any channel that you use, we'll definitely recommend you to use to get this deployed to your employees. And we have a lot of turnkey resources that we can provide you, as we want to make sure that this is as low of a lift for you all. And so I've included here just some of the employers that we currently work with: DeKalb County in Georgia, Miami-Dade County, Washington, the city of Washington, D.C. and D.C. schools. Mayor Bowser was a big advocate for our program and was really the reason that we were able to push this through DC, Envision, Denver Public Schools, and then, like I said, 300 employer partners that we currently work with. And so I'll leave it at that. I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'd love to open it to your thoughts, your feelings, any questions that you may have about the down payment program or Landed overall. I'll be more than happy to take.
So Lonnie, my first question would be, exactly who is eligible for the program?
Any employee for the town of Shelter Island that works at least 20 hours a week. That's it. We're not talking about any income restrictions or anything like that. They just have to access the down payment assistance. They just have to be employed through the town for at least 20 hours a week.
So would it be the town and the school, or the school would have their own program?
So no, if the school wants to do it as well, likewise for the school as well. If a teacher or just an employee, a support staff, administrative staff, we've had superintendents that have used our program. They just have to work 20 hours a week.
All right, now this is a question really out of left field. We're an island, we're very isolated. We're by ourselves. We have obviously teachers and police and town workers that could use help. But we also have residents that don't work for the town, but they're volunteer firemen and they work for the volunteer ambulance and they work on our ferries. Is there any way they would we can make them eligible?
I would have to look into that. I don't want to give you, I have a gut feeling, but I would rather get an actual answer that's right the first time. I'm just not sure about that yet. So are they just all volunteers? Do they receive a stipend through the town or anything like that?
They receive a credit towards a pension.
Yeah, for most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me,
No,
I can look
that's
into
their
that.
compensation. Yeah.
But they are considered under, I think, insurances and things like that. They are considered employees.
Right.
Okay.
And the fire district is it's its own municipality.
We can support them as well. Let me so I'll get a firm answer on that and I can, I believe Amber was one of them or Christina was one of the individuals that Andrew was in contact with. I can get you an answer to that.
They're like Liz, Amber, Christina, we're all.
There you go.
Any questions?
Yes. Since we're on the employment aspect, what happens when someone separates from town employment?
When they separate, so as long as if it's involuntary, if they were laid off by the town, we'll still honor that contract with the employee. If they have taken on a position with another and they're staying within the essential professional field, we'll continue to work with them. In no way do we want to get any professional, essential professional out of their home. And Landu has never done that. We've never come across an incident like that. Even with those who have left the essential professional field, we'll work with them to see what's most reasonable and create a plan for them to create an exit with Landed's partnership. So unsure if that answers the question for you.
Yeah, and then presumably an employee would talk to you about.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
said that in more detail. I just was curious.
Yeah, the spirit of the program is really to keep the essential professionals in their field, right? Is to retain the talent that you currently have. We also want to make it more appealing. A lot of employers are looking to kind of, beef up their benefits program to be a little bit more attractive to the candidates. Either way, however you see fit, we'll tailor Landed to whatever it is you guys are currently, any initiatives that you're working on. We'll make sure to tailor our program to that as well.
I think it could be a really potentially cool recruitment tool. I was thinking about for the school and especially like the police department. I don't know what the town employee situation is, but I know that anyway, that's definitely like what came into my mind when I saw it.
Yeah, we've been included in some offer letters because an employee, it's not like they have to serve a probationary period before they can tap into Landed's benefit. From day one, if they're interested in what we call our option contract, they do commit to stay with their employees for at least 2 years. We've seen, and a lot have shared with us that those who have transacted or utilized the down payment assistance program have shared that they plan on staying in their essential professional field for an additional 13 years. So we want to keep that turnover with employees very low. We try to keep the talent and retain as much as we can. So not dealing with continued turnover as a lot of different employees are facing at this time.
Another question I had was in the calculation of the gain, if there's been capital improvements made, how do those get factored in?
Yeah, so great question. We'll do a third party appraisal. We'll work with the home buyer to calculate to see what change of value of the home that may bring versus how much they put in towards the expenses to kind of renovate or to update or make any upgrades to the home. And the great part about it is once we do that third party appraisal, if they don't agree with it, they can attest to it, and we can find some middle ground where we can work as far as how much value was gained because of any upgrades or renovations that's done to a home. So, we believe in finding what's fair. And so we'll definitely work with that home buyer if they're making upgrades to their home and the value truly has increased on the home.
And then when someone goes for a refi, I presume an appraisal's done to work out what then at that point in time?
Correct. And I can share you all I'll share some information. I can share some documents to Amber. I don't know if you're the right person or whoever it is. I can share some kind of turnkey information data from some of the employers that we've worked with and the exits that we've done.
Thank you.
BJ, anything? Thank you. Jim?
I'm good.
Okay. So Lonnie, just to make sure, reinforce what you said, this is it's really a loan program. It's not a gift. The loan gets paid back and the interest is when the house is sold and there's a profit to be made. It's not a free ticket.
Correct. Yeah. So it's not not free money. It's a shared investment that we have. And I'll just share with you just a little bit about the funds that we get for this. We have some capital investors. TIAA is a big investor of ours, where this fund that we use for the down payment assistance program it's separate from the fund that pays for my salary or keeps the lights on for our company. We keep this fund separate for the sole reason as once a customer has gone through the cycle, has exited, we'll cycle that fund right back. We'll cycle those funds right back into this capital fund so we can invest into the next essential professional. So we don't make money on this end. Our money is made through our partnered agents that we work with. They share in a commission by helping a home buyer buy a home. And so that's primarily where Landed makes its money. It's not from this down payment assistance fund, which is separate from what keeps the lights on at Landed. So it's what I love the most about our program is, we're not making the money off of our essential professionals. I prefer not, because 8 years of my life, I've worked with a lot of city employees that I'm near and dear to. And the fact that we can just keep cycling these funds for essential professionals is what I'm passionate about.
Can I ask where the original funds came from?
Yeah, so we our first two investors was TIAA and
Okay.
and also the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Those were one of our first two investors. Previous to us having this capital money, though, we would go to school districts and ask them to provide capital so we can help their employees buy homes. So school districts, with as strapped in money as they are, sometimes their budget wasn't the best. Some of them were like, we love the idea, but we just don't have the money. And then as soon as we were able to secure money, some capital funds, we were able to go back to these counties and these school districts and say, hey, you don't have to afford the money anymore. We have it. We would just love for you to send this email so your employees know the availability of the funds now. And so we've been able since then. Intermountain Health is one of the big health systems in Idaho, Utah area. And we have some other impact investors, real estate investors that have invested in this fund.
Does the employee have to buy in the same district that the employer is located in?
No. So the great part about it is we're available in all of New York, all of New Jersey. So wherever they decide, we would hope that they want to live close to the communities they serve. But we understand it may be a little bit more affordable in other areas. As long as it's in the eligible areas in New York, which we're pretty much eligible in all of New York and all of Shelter Island. Wherever they would like, if as long as it's in the eligible area, we can help transact in that area.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and Lonnie, I saw on the screen you didn't mention Stony Brook Southampton is involved in the
Yes.
program. So
Yeah, they are one of our partners. So we're excited. We're working with Stony Brook University right now, and some others that are in the pipeline, like the city of New York. We're working with them right now. So it's our brand recognition wise in the Northeast is still growing a little bit. Some are kind of new to the shared equity model and to Landed in and of itself. So we we understand at first if there's some skepticism behind it, and we're more than happy to be 100% transparent on where we're from and in how we transact and how we work with our essential professionals.
One other question that I have, is there any, there's a guarantee that the 33% doesn't change?
Correct. Yeah. So for every 1% in that case, sorry, for every 1% that Landed contributes towards, so that 10% that we, in that example we shared, Landed will share in 3.3%. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's clearer now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
As far as the funds, like the amount, so like that $50,000, that's a static amount. So it's not going to accrue any interest over the 30 years or however long that they're in that partnership with Landed. So that's a static amount that won't change. So yeah, just yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just chatting with Dr. Dolges in the audience. Ryan, any questions or any thoughts?
No, Jerry, Liz had sent this to us a little earlier, so I sent out the information to our staff. And a couple of people did seem pretty excited about it. So thank you for inviting me here. And, if anyone in our district wants to be a participant, we're happy to be a part of it. And a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If we decide to move forward with this, is there a contract or any agreement that the town needs to sign with you?
No, we don't require any contracts or MOUs. What I would do is if the town is interested, and also the school district, if they're interested as well, I can set up a call with my colleague Hannah. We have a partnership success team where we're going to reveal any turnkey marketing materials that can help you in this launch or this email that's being sent out to your employees. We are looking at, I would have to check on as far as timeline where we have windows to actually launch with new employers. But whenever you guys vet the process and have an answer, just inform me, and then we'll kind of move the needle as far as getting a launch email sent out for the town and for the school district. I can square that all the way. I really want to make this a low lift for the town.
Okay. Chief, I saw you jumped on. Did you have any questions?
Yeah, I think Amber kind of covered what I was going to ask about. So we could be live with Landed tomorrow is in essence what you're saying, both us and the school district.
Yeah, so I would have to work with our employee success team. They are the ones that control the launches to see when the next window would be. We get a lot of employers that want to launch, and we just want to make sure that as we get volume that we can actually service those leads that come through. So I would have to work with them to see what the next date is for launch, but in essence it could be the very next day if you want to send it out. So
okay. All right, so Lonnie, if you can just check in on the eligibility. Again, we're a unique situation here because we're an island. We'd appreciate that. And thank you very much. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Gary, I have a question. It's Ambrose.
Sure. Ambrose is the editor of our local paper.
Hi, thanks for the demonstration. I didn't get the gentleman's name and title.
Yeah, sorry. My name is Lonnie Faw, and my title is just an account executive with Landed.
Okay, how do you spell your last name, Lonnie?
F as in Frank, A as in Apple, short and sweet.
Great.
I was the first kid. Whenever I had to put a name on a document and to get out of class, I was the first one. 6 letters, 4 of my first name, 2 of my last names. The first kid out of class.
Can I get access to your PowerPoint program?
Absolutely. I'll PDF this and I'll send it out. feel free to look through the information. And any questions, my email will be there as well. If you have any questions, just please send them my way.
Okay. Thank you.
Ambrose, as soon as we get it, we'll send it to you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay. Again, Arnie, thank you very much. Liz, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Chief Reed and Dr. Dolger, for your time and for the board for considering this. And yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Okay. Believe it or not, that's it for the agenda for today.
Cool.
Real quick, before we go around the table, I just want to remind everybody that there's a blood drive this Thursday at the EMS building from 1 o'clock to 7 p.m. We haven't had it in a while because of COVID, so I think reserves are down, and it would be a nice thing if you have the opportunity to go over. And as an added bonus, everybody gets a box of Girl Scout cookies. So it's this Thursday from 1 to 7 p.m. And we can go around the table now. Meg?
We had our comprehensive plan workshop last night, and we talked about our vision statement and 3 of our chapters. They are all on the town's website. So if you go to the town's page, committees, comprehensive plan, it has all the chapters, and it also has a comments button where you can send us comments, questions, information you think we should include. It lets you pick the chapter you want to comment on. If you have input for future chapters, you can put that in there too. But we'd love to hear your feedback. And we're going to have a button on the primary page of the town website. It's just not ready yet. We have to juggle some of the buttons in order to fit it on. So that's coming. And I think that's
Meg, one of the concerns that I heard a couple times last night was, I couldn't find it. I didn't have access to it. I didn't know about it. So, I mean, I know Christina's put on all of our social media.
Mhm.
It's on the town website.
We did fly.
We had flyers. We had an ad in the Reporter, but it wasn't in the social calendar.
And so what's part of the specific complaint was that we didn't have a long enough lead time. I'm not sure I agree with that, because I think sometimes you have too much of a lead time, it falls off people's radar. But that being said, it was hard to get the website ready for the information to be out there. So once you tell people you can go to the website, you better have a website to go to.
Right.
So we're hoping that next time, because we've already done the hard work now, or the time-consuming work, that the next time we can get notice out at least 10 days ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And if for some reason you can't find the page, but you want to send us comments, you can send them, you can email me at mlarson@shelterislandtown.us with your comments, and I will put them in. And then our next, essentially open to the public, just chance for conversation with the committee, is going to be at the Green Options Expo. That's the same day as the craft fair. It's going to be in the lawn of the Legion, August 20th, from 11 to 3. So we'll have a table there. We'll have copies of the chapters for you to look at, and we'll have, forms you can fill out with comments and questions and, any information you want to share with us.
And Meg, after we compile all this, what's the going to be the open, session to talk about it with the public?
Well, we're going to have a number of open workshops. So
Hopefully one a month.
hopefully one a month. And absolutely for the next few chapters, it'll absolutely be, we'll do a chapter, we'll have a public work session on it. We'll take the comments, we'll incorporate them, and then we'll have another public workshop on it. So the chapters that are coming up are the bigger, more complex chapters. So we did these first because they were good practice for us, and they're also less controversial. So going forward, we're going to have many more public workshops.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
EJ?
No, nothing.
Amber?
I was with her.
Community Housing Fund Advisory Board had under the library tent on Saturday, a public forum to give people information about the housing fund referendum coming in November, as well as the housing surveys. I'm not sure who, Christina might know the answer, although I guess Coco's the committee clerk. They're pulling together all of those slides to be put on the website as well as the housing survey. I don't think the housing survey is currently,
It's not, but
It's not, but okay, yes, that was my thought. I'm still getting my head back in the game here. We'll put something, maybe a bulletin to just let people know that it's available. It's a little tag at the top and so people can find it.
Again, it was a nice turnout for that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And what they're working on too is actually developing the housing plan for the island. So whether or not the referendum passes, we will still have a housing plan. So please participate, get your voice heard, because that's what they're creating is the housing plan that will be adopted by the town. So
Yeah, can't stress that
pay
enough.
attention.
Yeah, the referendum is just on the money piece, which will make it easier for us to implement anything that we want to try and do with the plan. But we can still go ahead with the plan and just have to look for other funding sources.
Right. And the next public meeting of that community housing group, and they're the ones that are working on the plan, is August 6th at the Presbyterian Church from 3 to 5. So that's coming up in a few weeks.
And that's all that I had.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, as most of you know, I was out of town in New Mexico, in the mountains of New Mexico. I had the privilege, and I want to emphasize the word privilege, of being asked to attend a retreat for ex-servicemen and women. There were about a dozen of us. It was a leadership training kind of thing, but it was much more emotional and much more, I was there with many of the people that served with Joe Thyner. And Frank was the main organizer of it, Frank Kessler. And it was amazing. It's great to get out of Dodge once in a while and literally go find yourself. But I went there with total strangers. And after 4.5 to 5 days, I have some best friends, some really close people. And I cannot believe how I don't want to say fell in love, but we bonded. I mean, we really, really bonded. It was a very, very emotional, spiritual kind of thing. And it was very physical. Started at 6 o'clock in the morning with calisthenics and stretching. It usually ended up at midnight or 11, 12 o'clock at night with a lot of discussion and downloading of emotions. But it was well worth my time, my effort, and I'd love to go back again. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about others. And as I said, it was a privilege to be a part of it. Thank you.
I forgot about WAC yesterday. It was a busy day. Anyway, yesterday WAC did meet. They were actually inching closer to perhaps recommending to the town board that we pull the trigger on the first level of drought, which is all voluntary watering restrictions. But yesterday sort of changed things as did Saturday. So we're okay now for the next time being. So that's really good. And actually looking forward, there's a United States government does drought outlook, and that looks pretty good for Southern New York State for the next 3 months. So we might have escaped it this summer, which I really would be foolish not to have said that. There is going to be a presentation in August at the library. Look for it. It's going to be about quantity and quality of water on Shelter Island. So August and maybe into September. We're just not sure of that date yet. We talked about irrigation, but still going to be talking about irrigation next meeting. There was no resolution. And also about perhaps putting something on the books about fertilizers, pesticides, and there's sort of an agreement around the table. It seemed to me that the enforcement, how do you enforce? I mean, it's obvious if somebody has a green lawn when all around them is brown. But that being said, there was a comment made at the end, which is sometimes just having it on the books, even if there's not a reasonable way reasonable way of enforcing it, sometimes that's enough for people to know that it's an important issue and to perhaps abide by it. But I'm just putting that in your head. If the WIC does come to us with a recommendation about that. And the Fresh Pond study has been updated with the new possible site for where we're going to put the mechanics. And they're looking at it, and the WAC, that is, will be studying that. And the immediate neighbors to that proposed site seem to be on board.
So what would be the next step in that process? Fresh
Money, maybe?
The building of the dock, I think. that's-
Yeah, and finding the money, I think.
Finding the money, yes, yes.
I mean, I think it'll be a joint, something from the community,
Yeah, yeah, we're-
grants.
we're working on it.
Does the grant writer have it? Does Jen have it?
Yeah, Joe has been working with Jen on this
Okay.
already.
Because Joe was out, so I don't have,
Yeah,
we didn't have his input.
Now that we're at this stage and the neighbors are approved, and that might be part of the solution as well. This will be a main focus. I think the two main focuses will be for Fresh Pond and for the municipal wastewater right now. These are things that are, as well as I should say, the West Neck water situation, which you've already submitted.
Yes.
So we're just sitting back waiting to hear, down the road, what the situation is there.
Okay, great.
On another, before you continue, last night, some of the discussion and the comprehensive plan had to do with the bike path. And there was talk about a study. So while we were in the meeting, I emailed Fred Thiel and he's going to send me that information. It was from the state. There was some options. And at the bottom, he said, the timing might be good for this with all the infrastructure money.
Wow.
So as soon as we get that.
Let me also say, it's in our 1994 comprehensive plan to do a bike path, connecting the ferry specifically, but I think it's actually broader than that. That's what's sticking in my head. So should we find the money right now?
Yeah.
We don't have to wait for a comprehensive plan.
The key
because we
thing,
have one.
and I just want to, keep reinforcing, the key thing is the money.
Yes.
Because I remember seeing this
The numbers-
report. I can't find it, but we're talking like $10 million,
the number is big.
so.
Yes.
you know.
And I remember when they did it over on the South Fork, to the ferry, that was a big number.
Right.
But I believe that's a success as well.
I just drove it last night at night and it's all painted. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I actually noticed that. That was as soon as I came around and I looked at it. It's nice. It's wide and it's well painted, well marked.
It's also important to know that it's a state road.
Yeah.
We can't just do it ourselves.
Correct.
It's a state road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to get the state.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, BJ.
You bet.
You good? Okay. Dr. Dole, do you have anything for us?
No, thank you.
He's staying through.
Stephen, anything on your end?
No, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, anybody, Ambrose, anything else?
Good. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, anybody else in the audience have anything? Questions, comments? Sandra, you have to unmute yourself. Sandra, you have to unmute if you're talking.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks. I would like to ask the town to revisit its mitigation efforts for flooding in light of the Saturday and Sunday back-to-back storms. I now live on West Neck Road, and it was a disaster. 2 cars had to be towed. Anytime anybody stupidly drove through the flood, it created 2-foot waves that rolled up onto my property. Now, luckily, the previous owner put in 2 dry wells, which functioned very well. But I would argue that the one storm drain that the town put in on my side of the street and the one that is on the other side of the street in front of the Raymonds failed. I mean, it failed. Now there were policemen had to come, at least 2 highway and public works trucks had to come. Frankly, the road was closed way too late. And I recognize that there were a lot of fires, not literally, but flooding that the town was trying to address. I mean, I called the police 600 number and just said, you've got to get somebody over here or there's going to be a serious accident. And the person on the phone just laughed and said, we have so many, this is happening in a lot of places. But there was a lot of damage to my property. And yes, when I bought this house, I was well aware that there was a flooding problem here, but these drains failed. And whether it's because they are filled, I don't know if the town regularly cleans the drains, or there needs to be a second one put on each side of that section of West Neck Road.
Right, I think, Sandra, between the chief and, highway superintendent and, Joe Fenora, we've been working on our hazard mitigation and, we're aware of these issues and we are trying to address them. Maybe not to everybody's, satisfaction time-wise, but we are trying to address them, and I'll make a point of having a talk with those three guys about prioritizing.
Okay, so you all know the area I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, it's infamous.
Sandra, as you well know, we do have that information. The police did respond.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm just.
Highway also responded, and I don't want you to confuse what you communicated as laughter to the police department. It wasn't intended that way. As you know, we were stretched in a lot of places at the same time yesterday. It wasn't a planned storm by any capacity. That did include a fire.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lightning.
I didn't mean to, I didn't, but I guess part of me says the town must know the problem areas, right? And is it possible to be proactive rather than reactive when you start to see that amount of rain come down that fast? I don't know. It's maybe there are just too many areas that are problems and you just couldn't possibly.
Again, we pretty much identified them all, and we're trying, Brian tries to prioritize. I mean, the bottom line is, reality is finances and how many we can afford at one time.
Yeah.
We're on it,
Councilman Colligan will tell you too that we're constantly looking for grants to support our infrastructure, and that area is on our list, and Highway Superintendent Sherman is well aware of it too. So we hear you loud and clear. I don't want to for a second have you think that we don't hear you. We hear you, and then we're going to do our best to address it.
Is money an issue with just cleaning out the drains?
No,
Or
they have equipment that can do that, and I'll ask him specifically when the last time that was cleaned and see if we can address that.
Okay.
I was going to mention the same thing. We'll have a follow-up. Brian, I will discuss with Brian about those particular drains, because that's something that can be done fairly quickly. But there is a fairly extensive list of needs for these drains around the island, because there's a lot of problem areas. And I know in Silver Beach, we have several of them along Brander and near my neighborhood, but we're picking them off, a half dozen at a time. Again, it is a money issue, and it is, it takes a little work and effort to put these, install them. But you made a good point about, we've all heard your situation about. I think the most important thing is the safety of the individuals. So, again, it's very hard. I think you have to understand when you have a rain of that magnitude that quickly. It's difficult to cover 24 areas that flood, or maybe more than 24 areas that flood, with putting out town barricades and warnings and things of that nature. It's very demanding. It's one of the things about living on the island that I don't want to say you learn to live with, but it's a price that we all pay.
Jim, even a storm of that magnitude, didn't matter if they cleaned out the drains the day before.
Right.
We used to call them 100-year storms, but we seem to be having them a lot more often now. We had over 2 inches of rain in
45 minutes.
45 minutes. So it's
Areas that never flooded.
Yeah.
But we're very much aware of it, and we're working on it. Lori, I see your hand is raised.
She's same area.
You're muted, Lori.
Hi, I'm just reiterating what Sandra said. It was an unprecedented amount of rain in a very short amount of time, but It was very, very deep in that area. At least probably, I went down and measured it as best I could. It was somewhere around 30 inches of water sitting on that road there. And unfortunately, what happens is that people come over the hill and they don't see it, or they don't stop through it, or they don't understand how deep it is, and they hit that. We have a major utility pole there. We also have several West Neck water shutoff valves there, which people drive through the water, they hit the shutoff valves, they've broken them off. You know, they hit the stumps that are under the water and anything else they can't see because they're trying to either drive around or drive through the water. So, I mean, it's a very dangerous situation when it gets that deep. So, you know, it would have been good to try and get those, you know, that road blocked off as quickly as possible when we have those kinds of storms. Because people are going to do what people are going to do. And unfortunately, a lot of them just try to drive through it, which is not a good thing, instead of taking a few extra minutes to go around. So anything, I'm not sure that the drains used to be constantly cleaned out, because I used to see the highway guys pumping them, but I don't know when it was last done. I haven't seen anybody in a very long time. So, but they could have done it, you know, and I just didn't notice. So that might be something to look at.
We'll definitely work on all these things. And just again, not to make an excuse, but to reiterate what the chief said, you know, normally if we know there's a storm coming, we have a meeting before it. We get all the groups together, the fire, the ambulance, the highway, the police, and review it. And this storm wasn't on the, it really wasn't on the radar. On the radar.
Yeah, I know. It showed the radar bypassing us with a little light rain. So.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thanks, Lori.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, if I don't see anybody else, we're gonna make a motion. We go into our executive session for collective bargaining pursuant to Article 15 of Civil Service Law and discussion of a potential acquisition.
Second.
All those in favor?